Welcome to the party, pal. Your friendly neighborhood Master Chaos back with you once again for the Menage a Trois episode of the Collaborations box set deep dive, of course featuring the cinema of Zhang Yimou and Gong Li. It is episode 3, the Menage a Trois episode, because we're going to be dealing with three specific elements within this box set. Two of the films, the next two films in order of appearance in the box set, as well as a brief discussion into the accompanying booklet. Join me, won't you? Of course you will! Of course you will.
Back from the dead.
That is a thing of beauty. I love seeing a stack of Amrays waiting for me to go on a cinematic journey. Come with me on a cinematic journey as we discuss the next film in the set. And this is To Live, of course, directed by Zhang Yimou, starring Gong Li. This was probably one of the hardest movies I've seen in, I had to sit through, I should say, in a long time. Now, not because it was awful, it's not on the level of a Dark Tower from Vinegar Syndrome or something like that, where it's just painful to sit through. This was a movie that is so human and so raw and so real and so painful, like an open wound, that it is hard to watch at times. It is hard to stomach, especially, like myself, if you're a parent. This is a film that charts the course of not only a family's history, losses and wins, tragedies and triumphs, but the rise of communism and what they call the Cultural Revolution in China. Now, I'm a Westerner. I don't know much about Chinese culture, so I do apologize if I get things incorrect when it comes to the history or the development of the country and communism and things like that. I profess my ignorance. I don't know much about the political structure over there. All I know is what I know and what feels correct. And the film paints kind of a bleak, awful picture of communism, as it honestly should. And it's one of those films where I'm not sure where Yimou really lands. Is he pro-party? Is he anti-party? It seems like he's sort of straddling the line as to what direction he goes in. And again, I'm not going to speak for the director as to what his intentions were. These are just my impressions of the film. The film starts out with a very rich family, and the husband is a gambler. He gambles. He manages to gamble, drunkenly gamble, by the way, his entire family's fortune away. They end up being destitute. They have 2 children. He gets conscripted into service with the Revolutionary Army, the Communist Army. He becomes a soldier in that. He makes his living as a puppeteer, as a shadow puppeteer. Some of the most beautiful images in the film is the shadow puppeteer sequences. I really love that. But it is essentially the history of a family, from the top to the bottom, and every tragic and beautiful thing that happens in between. Now, this is, like I said, a very hard movie to watch for me as a parent, because it deals with a lot of topics and situations I'm not going to go into. I won't spoil anything that really hit home for me and really, honestly, emotionally drained me. This is a very emotionally draining film. It's a powerful film. It's a wonderful film. It's gorgeous to look at, while at the same time being ugly, if that makes any sense. Because not only the subject matter, but the environments and things like that, it certainly isn't painting a rosy picture of communism, but it also isn't 100% condemning it either. So it's at least for me, it read a little on the fence as to where exactly it was leaning. The point being, To Live is a powerful, powerful film, and something I won't soon forget, but honestly something I will not revisit, because it was such a harrowing experience and such a emotional struggle to get through that I don't think I'm going to be watching it anytime soon, rewatching it ever, probably. Because the film is so hard to watch, I can't give it 5 stars, but I'm going to go with 4. I'm going to go with 4 stars for To Live. It's a wonderful, wonderfully realized, unique film, and it hints to what will eventually become Yimou's, stock in trade, his wuxia martial arts films, Hero, of course, House of Flying Daggers, and then Curse of the Golden Flower, which we'll get to in episode 4. because there's some war scenes. He had like 2,000 soldiers in one scene. Some epic stuff is happening here, but it's also on a very intimate, small scale too. I mean, this is a very small movie, but a big movie at the same time. I mean, there's big moments, big crowds. Apparently, according to Tony Raines on the special features, he had the biggest budget he's ever had. Probably until he gets to the wuxia stuff, but up until this point, this was his biggest budgeted movie. It's a wonderful, opulent film, but for me, 4 stars because I don't think I'd ever rewatch it. It just hit too close to home and just really, man, devastated me. Best way to put it.
Guys, it's too much!
Now, before we get to the next movie, let's talk about the accompanying booklet, which features 2 lengthy essays by Ying Zhu, I think that's how you pronounce it, and Chris Berry. Now, every good box set should come with some reading material to sort of enhance the experience. Ying Zhu is the professor of cinema studies at the City University of New York, and Mr. Chris Berry, I'm going to give you their bona fides so you know who we're talking about, is the professor of film studies in King's College, London. I will say I preferred Chris's essay to Ying Zhu's. Ying Zhu's essay felt a little up its own ass, especially just the way it was written. Obviously, she's coming from or she or he, I'm not sure exactly, is coming from the Chinese perspective. So, I don't know, it felt a little up its own ass. That's my best way for me to describe it. I'm sorry, this is my opinion. It's the way I put things. I did appreciate Chris's essay, but honestly, I don't know that they necessarily added very much to the overall discussion. So if you don't want to read it, you don't have to. You necessarily aren't going to get too much out of it. However, it is nice to have it, and it's definitely nice to sort of see certain things in context and what they meant to the culture and the audience at the time who experienced these films. I think you're good watching the movies and doing the Tony Raines special features, but the booklet, it's nice to have, nicely bound, and what I do like about this, towards the middle, you get, let me see if I can get all the posters in here, you get the, you get some nice color artwork for all the movies, all the posters, some really nice poster work actually, I didn't realize they were so nice. I think the one for Coming Home is quite beautiful as well, and there you go, that's it. So you get some nice color reproductions of the posters and the 2 essays, but if you don't read it, you'll survive. Last and unfortunately least in this menage a trois, Shanghai Triad. Now, I was very excited to watch this film because, well, here we have Yimou stepping outside of his comfort zone and making a goddamn gangster picture. Holy shit! He made an action movie. Now, this is, of course, before he went into the wuxia stuff and he started using CG and ninjas on wires and things, which we'll talk about in episode 4. There are ninjas on wires. Get ready for that. But for now, we're talking his passable, well, not even passable, barely passable best at attempting a Martin Scorsese picture. Shanghai Triad is a movie that, in my opinion, kind of falls on its face. Now, I know I'm probably in the minority on that, but I'm just going to give you my thoughts. Shanghai Triad doesn't really have a plot, and I think that's what the biggest failing for this movie. Gong Li is in it. Takes place, I believe, in the 1920s, 1930s. It's another kind of period picture, but it's definitely more opulent. Gone is the story of Shoju type of peasant person. Here we have Gong Li in her fanciest, best, beautiful dresses, gorgeously made up, gorgeous, lavish sets. I mean, he's making a gangster picture. He's making a flapper gangster picture taking place in Shanghai, namely around a little boy who has sort of been sent over by his family to Shanghai to work for his uncle, who works for a famous gangster who's sort of the leader of this triad gang. And Gong Li is his mistress, and this little boy has become sort of her slave, her butler, her sort of like dog's body. He's basically he gets her tea, he gets her dresses. He's basically stands by her door day and night. Whenever she needs something, he's there. So it's kind of like from his point of view, which I think shifts how we watch the movie and really shifts the tone of the film, because since it's the point of view of the child, we don't really get 100% a gangster picture here. What we do get is sort of a slow, meditative, almost incorrectly directed film, and what I mean by that is the plot doesn't go in the way you think it's going to go. Shanghai Triad, you think, okay, Triad gangs, it's going to be a gangster movie. In the beginning, we see gangsters, guns, and the people get shot and doing like a drug deal or whatever's happening. So like, okay, this is going to be a gangster picture. This is going to be fun. And then, because the perspective shifts to the little boy character, the film becomes diverted. That's a better word than incorrectly directed. I'd say incorrectly diverted in a way that shifts from what could have been an interesting movie to a film that becomes less interesting, because every scene after that becomes boring. I mean, honestly, that's the only way I can put it. And if you're a fan of this movie, I'm so happy for you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. There's things I liked about it, but for me, it kind of falls on its face because it takes a weird turn in the plot. Like every gangster movie, it's a turf war type of movie. And a turf war happens off camera, by the way. We only see the aftermath because we're seeing it through the little boy's perspective. And the leader of the triads has to escape. He goes to this island, he takes Gong Li, he takes the little boy, he takes just a retinue of like followers and bodyguards or whatever. And so half the movie takes place in Shanghai as we follow Gong Li being sort of a self-destructive diva. She's like a lounge chanteuse, as Tony Raines says. She's a singer. So we see her doing some pop songs. Think Anything Goes from Temple of Doom, and you'll get a good idea of what this movie sort of feels like in the first half. The second half of the movie takes place on this island where the leader of the Shanghai Triad is hiding out from the rival gangs. And then the movie decides to just kind of plop down and not give us much of a story. It's almost as if every scene was the opposite of the scene we needed. Now, I'm talking to you as a screenwriter. A script has to follow a certain I mean, it should anyway. If we're talking narratively, you're telling us a story, you're telling us a series of events. You go this is what happens. This next scene leads to this scene. This scene leads to this scene. This character pays off. This thing, we have to follow a story. This film, almost every scene, as soon as we hit the island, feels like superfluous. Why are we here? Why do we have that dialogue? Why do we have these conversations? And to me, that's frustrating. As a writer, it's frustrating. As an audience member, it's frustrating. So I had a lot of issues with Shanghai Triad because the movie just decides to plop down and essentially go nowhere for a good portion of the time. Only, now I'm not going to give anything away, for the third act to just be revealed sort of, oh, this was always blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to say anything. And it's already been solved. Don't worry about it. This is none of your concern. Moving on. And it almost felt like the movie was pushing us away, and we were focusing on stuff that didn't really matter. And I really hated that I was pushed away and I didn't become a partner with the movie, is basically what I'm trying to say. The movie pushed me away and didn't make me a partner. The earlier Zhang Yimou films made me feel embraced, especially the first two films on the box set here. I was embraced by them. I felt like you brought me into the world, you made me a part of this world. Here I felt very pushed away, very alienated from the story. I had no idea what the real plot was. There really was no plot in the film until maybe past the hour mark. We're like, oh wait, this is the movie. It was a very strange experience for me, and I hate to say this is 2 stars. This is a 2-star movie for me. And 2 stars being generous, only because I really like the setting. Gong Li is amazing in this. There's some really great sequences in this. It's very well directed. Obviously, Yimou's an amazing director. But story-wise, it falls on its face, and it's a 2-star movie for me. I really hate to say that, but that's just kind of my feelings on the matter. Shanghai Triad, I will say, if I had to pick between Shanghai Triad or the story of Shouju, which is another one I didn't really love, I guess I would watch Shanghai Triad. But I think I gave Shouju 2 stars as well. So, yeah. You know what? Shanghai Triad, let's go with 3 stars. I'll give it 3 stars. There you go. I'll be nice. 3 stars. Shanghai Triad. It just could have been so much better, and that's really what frustrates me.
Disappointed!
Lastly, let's go over the special features. To Live, of course, features the amazing Tony Raines. Again, speaking about the film, I do highly recommend you watch that because it adds a lot to it, and you get an interview with Gong Li about the film itself. Really great to hear her speaking about the film and her process and things like that. Shanghai Triad only features Tony Raines talking about Shanghai Triad, and even he says this is kind of a weird movie for Yimou. I mean, weird might be putting words in his mouth, but you can tell he's not a huge fan of this one, and it feels like not a misstep, but certainly a weird direction for Yimo to take. Okay, that's it. We've done it. This has been episode 3 of the collaborations box set. What I like to do is put the movies in the back so I know that I'm done. We've got 2 more left in this box set, and I hope you'll join me for that installment coming down the line. Oh, I'm so excited. I can't believe it. We're almost done with this box set. I can't wait to talk to you about the last 2 films on here in episode 4. My friend, if you're new here, do me a favor. Do me a great, solid favor there. Subscribe. If you do, we'll get to do this again, and it'll be such an honor and a pleasure for me to hang out with you yet again. Leave me a thumbs up on your way out the door. This has been your friendly neighborhood Master Chaos. I love you very much. As a matter of fact, I love you just the way you are. Take care of yourself. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. I'll see you soon. For now, signing off.